people want to act like Trump is the worst motherfucker in the world, but guess what? He was already president, and all the shit you're talking about didn't happen. He didn't make himself a dictator.
This is Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian, and let me tell you, this one hurts. Let's explain. When January 6th happened, there were many forces that stopped Trump from being a dictator.
That declaration of Donald Trump as the next president would have plunged America into what I believe would have been tantamount to a revolution within a constitutional crisis.
Michael Luttig was one of those forces. General Mark Milley played a role, as did many others. What Jamar is saying is technically true, just in very bad faith. Let's go over more.
He said he'd make himself a dictator on the first day, to implement some, and then, but that was, trust me, said tongue in cheek. It was not said seriously.
Let's pause here. There's nothing better than hearing the trust me bro argument, but let's also go over this. His former aides warn of a second Trump presidency.
When a candidate for high office, a candidate who has previously incited an armed insurrection, when he stands up on stage and says, "You put me back in office and I will be your retribution," that is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. That is rhetoric going back to the 1920s and 30s, I'm sorry to say. So he is not hiding this stuff. He's saying this stuff out in the open.
From The Guardian, the actions of his supporters on January 6th spoke volumes, and while Trump says he is not responsible, it, per the outlet, echoed some of the darkest chapters of modern European history. This is how fascists behave when democracy stops working for them.
For me, it's chilling rhetoric. It's not something I take lightly. He has created an army of mini-me's in Congress.
Trump would praise Kim Jong-un with how his people stood in attendance when in their leader's presence, and he dreamt of this happening to him.
Think about how the rest of the world sees us. A president who lost an election, refused to leave office, claimed he hadn't lost, incited an armed insurrection, then left office, went to his exile in Florida and carried on inciting more insurrections, is now running for office again and polling pretty well. Like, what would we say if we saw that in another country? Our democracy is broken. Our judicial system clearly cannot handle a Republican Party that is effectively pro-insurrection. And I think, anyone who says that these people have been dealt with excessively needs to Google the term white privilege.
This is also a man who previously expressed wanting to court-martial retired military officers per the Washington Post. He has used the same rhetoric Adolf Hitler did, when, of course, reportedly not having books of his speeches on his nightstand. From NPR, authoritarianism, in fact, has been found to be a key to Trump's political success. In a 2016 study, a political scientist named Matthew McWilliams found that belief in authoritarian ideas was the greatest predictor of support for Trump in the Republican Party and primary. Robert P. Jones is the president and founder of PRRI and a leading scholar, plus a New York Times bestselling author. He would say this: "What we have witnessed from Trump over the last few weeks is something new. Trump has clearly crossed into the domain of Nazi ideology openly." He'd go on to say in Arizona that young American girls are being R-worded and S-worded and murdered by savage criminal aliens, putting the target on them. Those of us who hope to preserve our democratic institutions need to underscore the resemblance before we enter the twilight of American democracy, wrote Mike Godwin. There's plenty of examples. The problem is Jamar likely would not heed those calls.
This man is a racist in the media, basically. Like, the media has made him a racist, but I haven't seen anything from him that would indicate to me that he's a racist.
We've gone over this many times. It's almost foolish to do it, but let's revisit.
Even about myself, if I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black, because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me. I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me.
Kung flu? Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, They're rapists.
Jamar also doesn't care about the housing discrimination case against the former president and his company.
14,000 apartments in 39 different buildings, all mostly white tenants. That is until the Department of Justice took notice in 1973 and slammed Donald Trump and his father, Fred Trump, with a lawsuit. Trump management was charged with discriminating against African Americans and breaking federal law. Donald Trump, then just 27, was president of the company.
He would mention the exonerated five, but somehow weaved himself into a pretzel by saying, and, summarizing, well, he was a Democrat when he said that. See, they're the racist ones. Maybe it comes down to this.
All of this shit about women's reproductive rights and all this bullshit. First of all, I hate that term. It's not reproductive rights. It's the right for a woman to be sexually irresponsible and to murder a child.
Quite a tell, isn't it? Here's another.
Nobody's coming to her fucking rallies. Nobody's coming to hear her speak. They're literally paying people to go to her. They're paying people to get on buses, and they're shipping buses to go to her fucking rallies, bro.
Unfortunately for Jamar, this is untrue. He probably saw a video from this person on the platform TikTok saying, and I quote, "I just left my nail salon and my tech said that their one cousin is in South Philly, and listen to this, she's getting paid $700 a week to go wherever Kamala Harris's campaign tells them to go." So it's a $100 a day, $100 a day, $700 a week, and she's not even a citizen. She can't vote, but she wants that extra money. According to PolitiFact, this has a rating akin to Pants on Fire. This has been a coordinated effort from the Trump campaign trying to diminish the crowds that Harris and Walz are getting as they fill arenas and Trump goes to what some critics have labeled sundown towns. There's more. Jamar would tell a story of a friend who is black attending a Trump rally in Long Island.
And he was being harassed by what we have now termed as radical Democrats, okay? Because there are radical Democrats out there. What do you think that was who tried to assassinate Trump? Those are radical Democrats.
Thomas Matthew Crooks tried taking out the former president in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Crooks lived in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about an hour's drive south of Butler, where the rally took place.
Thomas Crooks.
He graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022. He seemed to have little social media presence or record of political activism.
He was quiet, but he was just bullied. He was bullied so much. He'd wear hunting outfits sometimes.
Pennsylvania voting records show that he was a registered Republican.
How about on the golf course? One Facebook user claimed Ryan Wesley Routh, the second Trump shooter, looks like a MAGA Republican but is a registered Democrat. So let's look at the evidence, shall we? In June 2020, Routh appeared to say that he had voted for Trump in 2016, but that he had since withdrawn his support, having a change of heart. Via AJ, besides his changing thoughts on the former president, Routh also expressed inconsistent views about other candidates and political issues, at times supporting Republican or Democratic candidates. More than 2 decades ago, he switched his party to unaffiliated, so he is not a registered Democrat. Weirdly enough, Jamar would also talk about a music video from the Notorious B.I.G.
Then they're going to go ahead and have a transgender dude in the fucking Flavor in Your Ear video, as well as in the Big Papa video, and in the beginning of the Warning video. And in the Warning video, the Transformer is in the bed with Biggie. And in the Flavor in Your Ear video, the Transformer is dancing behind LL. All the while with a transgender dancing behind you. Did they know it was what it was? I don't know.
These are all signs of where a person is politically aligned. And what it actually shows is that LL and Biggie may have been ahead of their time, unlike this dude. On Kamala Harris.
First of all, she's not black, okay? You keep coming at me talking about, oh, it's a shame that you're not supporting a black woman. She's not black. She's Indian.
Obviously false. Her father is from Jamaica.
she's being disingenuous by even calling herself Kamala Harris. Her last name is Emhoff, okay? She's married to a man named Emhoff, okay? That's her last fucking name. She's a diggy broad.
Quick note here. My wife didn't take my last name. I don't care. I don't. It's about love and shows how far we have come as society to evolve and not just cave to past traditions and customs that simply do not uphold the tests of time. Via CNN, culturally, adopting the husband's name was connected to paternalistic notions of ownership. Women once belonged to their father, then their husband, said Deborah Carr, a professor of sociology and director of the Center for Innovation in Social Science at BU. Despite a growing feminism movement and increased gender equality, the overwhelming commonness of this practice does remain. More from the outlet. It wasn't until legal changes and a booming feminist movement in the 70s that there was a big push to keep one's last name, Carr would say. That tendency dipped during the 80s, a more conservative era, and has fluctuated since the 90s. Whether he knows it or not, he's contributing to these anti-feminist practices. Judging by the rhetoric, I would say he understands. He would say that Kamala Harris is not qualified to run a Dunkin' Donuts and labeled the pandemic, and this is just two words that he put together, the scandemic. He also said there were no wars when Trump was president, echoing the former commander-in-chief's line. A Washington Post fact check would determine that to be untrue. He would call Kamala Harris a dog, another line that Trump uses, and this.
This motherfucker's a smart businessman, and I hate the people that say, oh, he's been bankrupt this many times. That's what smart businessmen do. You know, girls like her might be fun to knock off and shit like that. But as far as leading some shit, she can't lead nothing for me.
There have been speculations from those who took in these interviews clipped out online. Maya Contreras said she saw Jamar even say he's working with Billy McFarland, the former Fyre Festival guy, and the two are in bed with Trump. I will say, it seems fairly obvious that when you are parroting someone's talking points, you don't make it this obvious that you are doing so. And that is what I see in this Lord Jamar interview. He is working with one campaign. They could potentially be talking prior to and after this interview, but to just go out there and be so oblivious that people can see through it is quite a tell. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.